Hey everyone, Ian Almacy here with Immigration Finder. We're a company that helps immigration law firms get efficient, manageable, and pretty much stress-free, actually, or get all the unnecessary stress out. What we're going to be talking about today is how to build a really good onboarding process for the new clients of your immigration firm. So that way you can actually help them and give them a good experience. Because a lot of the customer service issues, pretty much every problem you have in production in your firm can usually get tracked back to a bad onboarding process. As in, hey, you have long production deadlines that aren't going well. It can be tracked back to not getting the evidence soon enough, or maybe having issues collecting money from people. It's like, all right, we didn't onboard them very well. We didn't set a very good impression. Now they're a little bit hesitant to pay. Or, hey, maybe we didn't provide the best customer service when they started, and now they're a bit upset. They're calling the firm a lot. The receptionist is having to deal with this. Not a fun situation to be in. So listen, without any further ado, I'm going to share our quick presentation here and run through a few quick things about how to set up an onboarding process for onboarding new clients to your immigration firm. So this is a really important process. It really matters a lot as far as it goes. So one thing, onboarding is where trust is won or lost. Like obviously, let's say if you're an immigration lawyer watching us, you hired my company and I didn't talk to you for 2 weeks, you'd probably be a little bit skeptical. That happens at law firms all the time, or it's just very much like the client gets onboarded, there's just an email gets sent, here's some checklists, and that's it. So one thing, client perception is really determined in the first 10 days. And these relationships last for years often. Even a short case is still a year, sometimes a little less, but usually it's more. One thing, about 70% of issues with the onboarding, with the case process and all that can get tracked back to the fact that there's a bad, broken onboarding process. So something to pay attention to. And pretty much every client judges your, like what it's like working with you based on your customer service. So that's an important note, something we really want to take care of. But once again, like this is a really high number. And even if that number's a little off, it's really high. The clients don't really know exactly what's going on in the firm or what's going on with their case. They pretty much gauge it based on how well you communicate. So that's one thing. And also, if you want to bill and collect the money, like what most of you are doing is charging on payment plans, you're going to want to have this wrapped up and done correctly. You can also collect your payments a lot more easily when the communication's open. It's a lot easier to deal with people. So one thing, onboarding needs its own owner. So that's an important. You don't need to have a different person in the firm necessarily that was hired to do this, although that's not a bad idea if you have the volume. It needs to be its own role though. So think if you have a receptionist that also scans mail, scanning mail is not the same duties as a receptionist. It needs to be separated. It's not the same as being a paralegal if they need to focus on legal writing or prepping stuff for the court or filling out forms. The onboarding needs to be treated as its own separate role. So in that example with the receptionist and the mail scanner, what would happen is the mail would come in, they'd scan it, then maybe have to log it, email it out to whatever team members, let whoever know need to execute on what's in there, and then go from there. But the thing is, the onboarding needs to be treated just like this. So without a dedicated role, onboarding tasks are mixed in and get buried into a lot of different paralegal duties. And that's not good because as you're working on this, it can get mixed in. So we can say, hey, I have 4 hours of work to do to make a declaration or a brief or whatever. And then I can't onboard this person today. I'll do it tomorrow. Then that person's anxious. They call the firm twice in the morning, like, hey, what's going on with my case? And the receptionist times. So once again, clients go days without contact after signing. That's where a lot of this resentment, buyer's remorse comes in. Document collection starts late, and all these problems snowball. You might not get all the documents at first, and then later on you have to ask them a month later, and like, what have you been doing the last month? I've been calling the firm. No one's reached out to me. It's a crazy thing. And also that resentment can turn into a lot of frustration. These emotional explosions can be a really big issue. If you own an immigration firm, I'm sure you've had a lot of these clients where they're very emotionally charged due to this. And partners and attorney end up getting pulled into these chaotic moments because they have to soften things with their client. So one thing with a dedicated onboarding role, once again, doesn't have to be a different person. It just needs to be a structured set of responsibilities with the timeline from the moment they pay. So one person owns all the onboarding, nothing falls through. We'll oftentimes assign the onboarding to a different person in the firm to relieve the paralegals and keep that communication going. It's an important thing, especially when someone pays, contact them the same business day, no matter what it happens to be. Generally a phone call, something warm, something that feels complete to the client. Say, hey, this is the next step, this is what we're gonna do. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. You just have to show them that you care, that you're gonna be there, you're gonna be dependable. Because once again, they're trusting you to answer the mail, to respond to emails from the government, maybe depending on the case types you take, they're going to be other things they're going to be trusting you with. And that's good. So start the document collection immediately. And once again, as you're doing this, you're really buying goodwill with the client. So that way later, if maybe something does slip through the cracks, you need to ask for some new documents because they're a bit blurry. It's not 4 weeks later on something. Because you're also training your clients to act quickly and responsibly in this case. But overall, you want people to feel seen and understood. Like when we go into a firm, we don't go in, hey, we're going to change this and this and this. We start by saying, hey, how's it going? What's your job like? How's that going? You want to have the same approach. You want to make sure and go in and show people you care because you do. That's the best thing for sure. And that's that. But also, this is a way that's going to really save legal workers time for this. And eventually, you can break off this responsibility, have someone else do it, and then the paralegals don't have to be so stressed handling document collection. So one thing, 4 pillars of a solid onboarding process. First off, you have the administrative onboarding. This is a big part here. So this is pretty much opening the file, start the case in the case management system, contact the client, scheduling things, anything you know you need to calendar. For example, you might have some deadlines that you already knew before the client signed up. Maybe it's a court date, visa expiration, something like that. The next thing is start the document collection right away, ideally the same day. You want to get this quickly. And we oftentimes tell people to contact the client the first 10 or 15 business days asking for this. Seems excessive, but once again, you don't necessarily want to trust people just to submit everything. A lot of what happens is people will submit information that's incomplete, then you need even more of it. Keeping that communication open is what's really going to keep it good. And that way, when people reach out to you, they're not so anxious of what's going on with their case. They're really just wondering, hey, how can I help? How can I do that? That's a thing. Third's the billing setup. This is internal and external. So when you talk to the client about it and do it internally, set up any payment plans you have, get their payment method on file, if that's how you're billing them, of course. Get all the accounting in order. At some point later on down the line, you may need to collect money from them for government fees or something along the lines or something else in there. So get that set up. Then the fourth is the case assignment. So make sure the case gets assigned quickly. And once again, the onboarding process is also just to initiate the things with the client that can get done right away. For example, the attorney might need a few days to verify who's doing what before passing out things to different team members. But what you can do, though, is just do what you can for the client. And that way, more of the case can get moving forward in this linear format. Maybe the case assignment, you don't know exactly which paralegal is going to work on it, but you can start working on different things with the firm and getting that process going. So the administrative onboarding, here are the steps. So one, open the file, start the case in the case management system, whatever your process is, maybe there's a paper file, contact the client, make customer service at first the absolute epicenter of all this. Because a lot of what happens is the client gets upset. And then what happens is the client is upset and then they start reaching out a bunch, and then it eats up a lot of time, and then people retreat a little bit and don't want to deal with the person, or the receptionist end up taking the brunt of this when they could be handling new clients. And schedule an intake meeting. It's always a good idea to have a meeting. I like to do it the same day they sign up. That's what we do in our company, the same or next business day. The document collection, start by getting this really soon. We like to have an interface where people can upload documents and other people can see it. Once again, whatever your process is, initiate it. We use the software called Pipefile a lot of client portals are out there. I know that a lot of clients aren't quite as tech literate, so they might drop off the documents. Pipefile is a really good way to have people that maybe aren't as tech intuitive to work on things, so that's a big thing. But overall, when collecting the documents, don't just send a checklist out and expect them to send it back. Call them regularly, remind them what they need to do, and remind them why this is important. Because at the end of the day, you're going to actually pay for it as a firm owner if you don't collect those. So be persistent, but also the thing is, you want people to feel like you're on top of it. And it really starts here. But also, the sooner you get this, the sooner you can file, the more profitable your firm is. So one thing, billing setup, get all this set up right away. As far as it goes, you're going to want to get all these things written down, all the accounting done, everything programmed into QuickBooks or LawPay, whatever software you happen to be using. So that's a big thing there. And the case assignment, some big things. The client doesn't need to necessarily know exactly how it's going to get assigned, but have the onboarding specialist or whoever's going to be doing the onboarding reach out to the client. And it's okay to tell the client, hey, we're still in the process of assigning everything. Not everyone's going to expect it to get done the very second they pay, but you just want to do what you can do. It's all right, you're a marriage green card client. I'm going to send you the marriage green card checklist and a PDF about this service and something about the firm. Oh, and then here's a list of FAQs that you're going to want to know about. And we're going to need this questionnaire filled out inside of whatever case management system to populate the forms. Someone can do that with having close to no experience and not needing to eat up a lot of other valuable time And if you do that, the ball's in their court at that point. You can remind them a few days later or the next day, like we recommend, to get that all processed. So one thing, what happens the first 10 business days? So the first day they sign, have some type of acknowledgement. There are so many e-sign platforms and simple ways to gather this information and to automatically send things for people. And so one thing we do is when someone signs up with our company, they immediately get forwarded to a page with a video and a form to fill out on it. You can do something similar, have an email go out right away, have a text message, have a way for them to schedule a call immediately in there, or even just calling, just be on top of it. But it's good to have a good group platform for that. And there's so many e-sign tools now that make it easy. Even if your people are coming to the office, there are tools you can have where you can actually have people sign online from a computer and you can initiate more of this process. So one thing, do something the very first day that is substantial, but you want to put the ball in their court right away. You want to be like, hey, we need these documents from you. We need you to go to this entity and get this information, which is a recommendation letter, something else. We need to go to the court and collect something depending on the case type. Next, have an actual meeting that you go through. It's good to introduce the person. The person that onboards the client doesn't have to be the one that works on the case. And so once again, just treat this like a very urgent responsibility. Day 4 through 10, follow up with them like crazy and tell them as you're working on things. Say, hey, I got your I-130 response, just so you know, just filled this out, working on it. And you'll keep the client so much happier. It's a tip we got from Alex Hormozy. We do it in our company and it keeps people really happy. So one thing, build a system that works while you sleep. There are so many ways to automate this now. So many of these tools can set this up. It's not expensive. Most likely, if you're watching videos about how to improve your immigration law firm, you probably already have some tools in your firm, or else you might not even be watching this. So one thing, when a client signs and pays, immediately push them to something that's automated and reminds them how to handle things. And so tell them what to do, the checklist, the process. Remember, you're the one in charge of the process, not the client. So you need to set the expectation. But also within this, you're really setting the tone for the fact that they need to get things to you quickly, that when you ask for things, that you need to get it to them. So you want people to have that sense of urgency. So one thing, train your clients how to work with you. It might seem a little excessive, but if you can get the documents 2 or 3 weeks faster on every case, that's a lot more profit for you and happy clients because you're not spending so much time. So one thing, I use a portal, have some type of something just to tell them whatever the next step is. When someone signs, they should immediately have somewhere or something or some process they can follow to submit information to you, and they should know what to do or have an expectation. And once again, it doesn't always have to be the same person doing everything. You can have someone reach out, buy some time, get this processed, and go from there. And once again, you can automatically alert the staff for this. There are a lot of tools that get automated. If you need some help, feel free to visit immigrationfinder.com or visit immigrationfinder.net/outreach, and we can help sort things from there. After that, you schedule an onboarding call. They get onboarded with the paralegal. Ideally, you have enough of the documents pretty quickly to start prepping the case, and then you're good to go from there. And so many tools already have this built in. It's very simple. And one important note, clients can't really evaluate legal work. They pretty much gauge the whole service based on this effective communication. And so that's that. But just like when you work with a firm, like if you hired our company, if we were communicating on a regular basis and you knew what was going on, you'd feel a lot better than if you just heard from us every 3 weeks via a vague email. It's the same thing. So one thing, clients don't really know if the legal work's good. They know if someone called them back. They know if they feel forgotten. Onboarding is how you can prove to them that, that the firm's worthwhile. But also you're setting a first impression. If you were the first time you met someone, you want to be on your best behavior. And of course, you always want to be doing a good job at the firm. But this is a way for you to show them that they made the right decision, because buyer's remorse is a real thing. So call them the same day, they sign up, or at least the next day, and we'll go from there. So one thing, if you want to build a good onboarding process for your immigration firm, my name's Ian, this is Immigration Finder. Feel free to go to this link, immigrationfinder.net/outreach. You can visit us online. You can look me up on LinkedIn, and feel free to subscribe to get more videos like this, because we love putting this content out. But these are the type of simple, effective systems we put in place for immigration lawyers just like you who want to scale, staff, and automate their firms, and just get it to where they can relax at work, where they can know what's going on. They don't have to be so stressed all the time. So if that's you, reach out to us and we'll talk soon. Thank you.